Hey, what's going on, guys? Johnny Jimmy here, checking in for the United View, the match report of the game. Manchester City versus Manchester United. The derby at the Etihad has ended 3-1 to Manchester City. A brace from Phil Foden and a stupid, silly goal to concede. Erling Haaland, I believe that was, right?
Yep, it was Erling Haaland, yep.
It's a sad day here at the Benchwarmers office because I think Manchester United fans, including I think us too in particular, feel like our chances of making it into the top four at this moment in time have pretty much vanished. And I think the only thing that's going to get us to that position is going to take us a miracle and a half.
Yeah, a miracle in two, maybe.
2 halves.
Yeah, 2 halves. Because that game was a game of 2 halves. And, starting off with that first goal from Marcus Rashford, in the 7th, 8th minute, we were on a high.
Oh, I
think every single Manchester United fan watching can say they were at an absolute high.
Oh my! I mean, it couldn't have started any better for us. You can clearly tell that Manchester City, they weren't up for it at that moment in time. They weren't sharp as they normally are. If we're looking at it from a hindsight perspective, it took them a little bit of time to get into high gear. Yep. But from Manchester United's perspective, it really could not have gotten any better. Yeah. Marcus Rashford with a thunderous finish.
Yeah, with I think the best finish bar Garnacho's bicycle kick earlier in the season. The best finish.
I mean, the thing that I loved about the finish was that you talked about it in our live stream, Jimmy. If that opportunity came around maybe back in December, November, when Marcus Rashford was just literally at his lowest,
January,
he would have taken a touch. It would have maybe taken 2 touches and just completely
a shot wouldn't even come off.
Yeah, it would have dismantled that effort.
Yeah,
but Marcus Rashford, as soon as the ball was rolling towards his path, he whipped it, drove his laces through it.
Yeah,
you saw the conviction from Marcus, and that's what you wanted to see throughout this entire season.
Yeah,
and I love that from Marcus, and I love that for Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can't take away from the build-up because it was 2 touches. Andre Onana kicking that out all the way out to Bruno. Bruno bringing it down, bringing all the defenders to him, and then just a simple pass into the path of Marcus for that goal. We also have to talk about that defense in that first half because we'll talk about it in the second half, but that defense in the first half was impeccable. It was a stone wall.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give shout outs to the likes of Johnny Evans, Diogo Dalot, even Rafael Varane. I think all of them pretty much got stuck into the mix. Yeah. We're definitely going to talk about Victor Lindelof in the second half, but in that first half, he played his heart out, and I think the defense deserves their flowers because they played absolutely phenomenally. Apart from that goal. And a couple of chances that maybe Man United should have done better. There was that one opportunity from Rashi. The ball was, there was a spin and he couldn't bring the ball down with his head. There were a couple of chances that maybe Manchester United could have buried, but I'm not mad at it because those chances were hard to come by. And at the end of the day, it was never going to be an easy game for Manchester United to begin with.
But as a club with the stature of United, you have to complete those chances. We were saying it at the halftime. We had to have scored those because if not, we knew the capabilities and the quality of Manchester City that those chances we missed would come and bite us in the butt.
You're right. But my point is at the end of the day, that's the season we're having, and that's the quality of Man United at this moment in time. I'm not mad at it because oh my God, I'm not mad at it because it's what I sort of low-key expect.
Right.
And I'm not trying to, that's without being disrespectful. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, we gave it our all.
Yeah.
In that first half in particular, I truly felt like there was a game for us to take. Yeah. I really felt that
I will say the most exciting of a game this season that I've watched.
Yeah. It was, it could have been one, from if you're looking at it from a neutral perspective or even a Man United fans perspective, it definitely looked one-sided. Man City were the ones just absolutely thumping us. What was the possession stats? Like
71 to 29.
Yeah, it was some crazy stats. But we were playing well. Our passes looked confident.
Yeah.
Our passages through the thirds looked like they were being played. Somebody in our chat was like, what's going right for us?
Yeah.
I said that Man United looked like they were resolute. They came to the Etihad ready to play ball. Like if we looked against Nottingham Forest, we looked against Fulham. I was so pissed because Man United players looked like they were disjointed. Yeah. They played like as if they were playing with each other for the first time. They didn't even know each other's names. Yeah. They looked so disjointed. But today, they look so united. Everybody looks so well-drilled, compact, structurally organized, talking, covering for each other. That's why we look so good.
Yeah, and we were talking about it in the first half. That was one of the best defensive performances I've seen, not just from our back four and Andre Onana, from our midfield and our attackers. We saw, yes, Manchester City had, 71% possession that first half, but they did nothing with that possession because we had such a compact midfield. Every single time City had the ball, you could see all 11 players compact in that midfield and in our box, getting in front of the ball, getting in front of the shots, getting in front of the crosses, getting it all out. And that did not transition over into that second half. Let's move on to the second half because there's a lot more to talk about in that second half. Talk to me about, one of the first controversial moments that happened, that run that Rashford had against Kyle Walker, almost into goal. And, you said it during the stream, you didn't feel like it was too much of a foul on Kyle Walker's part.
Like, look, I always try to provide perspective, right? So at the end of the day, I'm trying to look at that from the perspective of the referee. He's got vision on that. Mm-hmm. He maybe at the moment thought it was too soft of a contact. Maybe he felt like Rashi went down too easily. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with it, but I understood it.
Right.
But on the other side of that pitch, if Diogo Dalot is just like doing this and man's dropping and he awards a free kick for shit like that, there's a lack in inconsistency and it's driving me up the fucking wall.
I will say this. Sure, like John said, maybe it was the referee saw and thought it was way too light for a foul. We saw the replay. We saw the clip of Kyle Walker's foot hit Marcus Rashford. Rashford had no reason to go down there, even if it was light. He was a step or two in front of Kyle Walker on the ball. They weren't both chasing. Rashford was on the ball. To not award that and then have a goal come up literally on that next transition for City is what makes me mad on that exact situation. And then moments later, giving a free kick away to Manchester City on a just as soft, if not softer, foul on Diogo Dalot on Jeremy Doku. The inconsistencies, like John said, are insane. But we have to talk about, I think, the turning point in that game was Johnny Evans coming off with, he was having a fantastic game, but it seems maybe he had a knock. We saw him slowly walking off the pitch for Willy Kambwala. Where do you think it went wrong there?
I mean, I said this at the halftime. At the end of the day, for Manchester United, if we're going to get a result, we can keep playing well as we did in the first half, but that's not going to happen. Let's be real. If Man City are going to continue to bombard our front door like that, eventually the players are going to start getting tired. Eventually that exhaustion is just going to overtake them, and it's going to be difficult for Man United to even keep that result as it stood at that moment in time. The only way we get a result is if we make changes and try to adapt to those changes, because regardless, exhaustion is going to kick in. And we saw that with Johnny Evans. It might have been a knock, it might have been whatever, but it's Johnny Evans. He's old, fam. He had a phenomenal game, but let's not kid ourselves. He's an old brother. And at the end of the day, he's not going to be able to keep that level of intensity. We're going against Manchester City, one of the biggest teams in Europe. It's going to be very difficult for them to keep playing at that level of intensity.
Absolutely.
And who came on for Johnny Evans? Willy Kambwala. I got nothing against Willy. That's my guy, man. He's a young lad. But imagine from Erik ten Hag's perspective. Imagine from Willy's perspective. You're coming on for Johnny Evans against Man City. And who's on the left back position? Victor Lindelof. What Erik ten Hag had to do? He had to shift. He had to move Victor Lindelof center back, move Diogo Dalot to left back, and move Willy Kambwala at right back. I mean, what? What can you do?
Yeah,
what can you do? I was pissed off because it's just like everything hitting me all at once again. All that good energy because reality checked in. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Man United, our squad is not good enough. We have not built a strong squad. And let's be fair, the injuries have absolutely exposed the shit out of us. Mm-hmm. And I feel so bad for Erik ten Hag. Yeah. Imagine you're Erik ten Hag sitting there. Imagine you're Erik ten Hag just watching this match just fly by you because you were playing so phenomenally and you had to pull out probably your best center back on that pitch. Yeah. How old is Johnny Evans? Close to 40?
36,
37? Imagine you turn back and it's just a bunch of young lads.
Yeah.
Imagine the pain.
Yeah. I mean, we have to say that. You said these injuries have exposed our squad. It didn't expose it. It's not our fault that we are relying. Willy Kambwala, we love you too. A youth. We're going to our youth ranks at this point.
Like Victor Lindelof, right? Victor Lindelof. Many people have divided opinion, right? Whether you think he's a good center back or a good footballer or bad. You like Victor Lindelof.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan, but I like Victor Lindelof nonetheless.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Victor Lindelof playing at left back against Phil Foden is not an easy game to play. You saw Phil Foden's first goal. The way he just
glided across.
He dropped his shoulder in like the simplest way and he just glided right across the middle and Victor just couldn't catch up.
Yeah.
And look, as soon as Johnny Evans change happened, you had Phil Foden going against Diogo Dalot. right?
Yeah.
Because Erik Ten Hag had to make that change. Dalot had an actually decent brief moment against Phil Foden.
For the first 5 minutes.
How did Guardiola respond? He shifted Phil Foden to the left
to go
against Kambwala. And then Kambwala was out of position, couldn't catch up, couldn't read the flow, and couldn't read the overlaps. And then it was over. It was over after that. Pep Guardiola went for the jugular because he knew how to expose this already exposed side. And that's why I feel for the players. I feel for Erik Ten Hag. I feel for everybody. We have to be smarter. I'm sorry, we have to be smarter.
Yeah, we have to, talk about another sad note here is Sofyan Amrabat coming onto the pitch. And we've seen it time and time again this season. Every time he comes on the pitch, I am not confident that he's going to get that job done. And we saw it at the end. In extra time, he got a ball, lost it right in front of the box. It leads to a goal. What are your thoughts on this time that Amrabat is having and that performance that he had today?
I don't think I love Sofyan and I think he's a phenomenal footballer, but I just don't think it's gonna work out for him at Man United. I'm sorry. He just looks like he just never really took off. In every game that he's played, I've never sat here once and said he had a full 90 minutes where he looked confident. He came on today, that decision making to bring I understand the ball from Casemiro was a bit off, right? It was a little bit high. And Sofyan had to bring it down with his chest. But he had enough sufficient time to bring the ball down and then either yeet it out or take a touch and fling it. But he took the touch and he drove the ball forward into the momentum of the Man City. Who was it, Rodri?
Rodri. Yeah.
Does this possess them? If you're a midfielder, you have to be able to scan for danger. And I know Sofyan scanned. If Rodri's next to you, you cannot make that kind of mistake. And I'm sorry to Sofyan, but at the end of the day, his time at Man United, it's just, I don't think, as much as I think, or whatever, as much as whatever I think, I just don't think they're going to award him a full contract.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Amrabat's enjoying his time here either. It's gone the opposite way that we thought when we first brought him on in the summer. Are there any last notes that you want to leave for this game?
The buck stops with the manager at the end of the day, and I feel bad for Erik Ten Hag. And I understand. Like I was questioning the Rashford change, right? I was questioning that because I was like, Rashi's been relatively good. I was saying throughout the entire game that Garnacho actually looked like probably needed to be the one coming off because he looked like he was showing the lack in experience, showing the lack in physique. He was getting out muscled by everybody, and I thought that might have been the change. But Rashi came off. I personally, now that I'm looking back at it, I probably think Rashi came off because he was probably also knackered.
Yeah.
I think Rashi, a lot of people blame Rashi because he wasn't contributing defensively. I think there's a lot of an element to Manchester United's game where Erik Ten Hag probably instructs Rashi to conserve that energy so that he can hit on the break with the energy that he's conserved.
Yeah.
Today he was running his absolute socks off all over the place.
And we saw how many opportunities he had on the break.
Yeah, and I also felt like Man United were trying to just stay and go for the draw after that substitution. Yeah. I'm not mad at Erik Ten Hag for that. Imagine you're looking on the bench, you go, I don't see an answer here.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at Erik Ten Hag for that.
Yeah.
And how can you be mad? How can you be mad for what he has to work with? Yeah. And people are like, oh, but these players get paid more than some of Nottingham Forest players or Luton Town players. It's different. It doesn't work the same. The level of pressure is different. The level of demand is different. And at the end of the day, as much as I understand that there's things that Erik Ten Hag got wrong, there's so many things that it was just out of his control.
Right. Let's end it on this. Where do we go from this game? We have a quarter of the season left. We're at 6th. We are, a handful of games behind Spurs at 5th, and we are almost. It's unreasonable to think that we'll get into 4th now. What is your goal now for the rest of the season?
Let's just hope and pray that we end on high, and hope and pray that either Spurs or Villa drop points. It's going to be very tough for them to keep the momentum they're going. But look, at the end of the day, from Manchester United's perspective, this was coming. And I think Man United fans, I think it was the hope that killed us.
Yeah.
And I've conceded to the fact that we'll make top 4. I've conceded to the fact that my hope is completely drained.
Yeah.
I will never say never, but it's going to take a miracle and, like you said before, 2 halves for us to try and get that.
There has been crazier things that have happened.
There has been.
But this is the top of it.
Yeah, lots of people said, Spurs had the potential to choke and all this, whatever. But I just... At this point in time, if we can just continue to, build with whatever we got, I'll be happy with that.
Absolutely.
Honestly, this could maybe be the clean slate for Ineos to reset completely without Champions League football.
Yeah.
A lot of those players are going to be thinking about their future.
Yeah.
And who knows? So it's not the happiest of times for Man United, but I think this season it's just been one of those.
Yeah, this season has just been a blip in the matrix.
Yeah. Well, That's it from us for today. Who was your man of the match, guys? Get in the comments and get involved. Let us know because honestly.
Who was your man of the match?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even say mine. I'm going to have to give it to Diogo. Diogo Dallo's been phenomenal.
Diogo, I think, honestly, Andre Onana had a worldly of a game.
Onana as well.
Unfortunately, like I don't think any of those 3 goals from Manchester City he could have done anything better. But thank you, guys.
Yeah, but I'm going to give it to Diogo. But who is your man of the match? Get in the comments. Let us know. And if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the United View. And if you guys want to hear more of what we have to say, come check us on our channel. The links are all in the description below. That's it from us for today. Thank you so much. Be happy. Be healthy. Take care of your loved ones. Until next time.
Peace.